Coming. Welcome, family. Welcome once again to another wonderful edutainment edition of We All Be Live. This is the first podcast for Black History Month because Black history indeed does matter. Black history matters. Thank everybody for tuning in. Feel free to invite others to join in on this very wonderful podcast. I hope all is doing well out there, and we all be land and beyond. Have no fear. Brother Ron is here. Here I come to say today. I'm just joking. Let me drink some water. My voice kind of cracking. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend, that your team won, whatever that team is, maybe to you, your team won. I hope that you are having a great Monday. It's late in the day now, but we got a great show for you all. What I love about living life is that for all the things you think you know, there are more things you do not know. For all the things you think you know, there are more things you do not know. So we'll get it crack-a-lacking, get more people into viewing this. I'm going to share this with your networks because we're going to have a great show today. I can feel it. I actually wanted to do a show last week, but I was in the middle of moving. You know, moving is it's a big experience for me. Like, it's tough to move. And people don't understand like the psychology behind moving, because a lot of us would rather stay in an uncomfortable position where we're comfortable in being in. Let me say that in a different way. A lot of us would rather stay comfortable in an uncomfortable position that does not benefit us at all, because it's just moving takes, you know what I'm saying, like you uprooting yourself and trying to plant yourself in a new situation. So I'm actually in the middle of a move. I won't be through anytime soon. Like, I'm out of my apartment, of course. So I'm like nomad now, nomad man. So I'm just moving out and about, just trying to see the world and also report on what I see, and also share some other wisdom and insight I have learned over my years of traveling this highway known as life. So I want to thank everybody who has contributed, who has supported the We All Be movement by watching the videos, by listening to the podcast, by sharing it with your networks, by subscribing to the channel, by buying We All Be products or artivist products like, t-shirts and art. Thank you all for doing that, for donating to We All Be. Y'all can do that right now in the super chat. If I have said or done anything that has been beneficial to you, that has helped you elevate and grow into the person you always wanted to be, please feel free to share your love for We All Be. Do the super chat thing, or you can donate through our PayPal. All this listed in the subscription box. All the things you can do to donate and support the We All Be movement is listed in the subscription box below. So we're going to get into the show very soon. I'm trying to get more people into the chat area. I want to thank everybody who's been faithful in terms of supporting these live broadcasts. I hope everything's coming in as clear as possible, or loud, or clarity. Let me know. I haven't checked the chat room yet because I'm trying to promote the show to get more people eyes, so we can do with the flow. Go with the flow. Yeah, man. It's just things could get overwhelming sometimes, and sometimes you need to have some time to yourself to really think about things. There's nothing wrong with spending time with yourself to develop a healthy relationship with me and myself and I. It is mandatory that you get to know who you are and love yourself. It's so important that you have love for yourself, because this life thing, man, it could be tough sometimes. If you're an enemy to yourself, it can be tough going. If you don't know yourself well, can love yourself, how can you love anybody else, or appreciate anybody else? You gotta learn how to appreciate you first and foremost. That's very important. Very important. Now we're gonna talk about some things, because some things came up. No, this is a new era. It's a new era. Thank y'all for turning in for the first time. It's Brother Ronald. Family Kitchen Live. Thank you. Bala Nice, Sleepy Hollow Tips, everybody. JM, Jay McClinton. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing things. Sister Erica Drew, Sister Denise Lyons from Detroit. Oh, this is Slum Village. I love Slum Village. They are so underrated. There's so many great acts that come out of Detroit. Rest in peace to brother Edwards from the Temptations, who just passed away. He made his transition into an elder a couple of days ago. A lot of our people are leaving us. That means it's our time to move up and shine. See, a lot of times when people leave like that, it's our time to step up our game. And I want to talk about that a little bit tonight as well. No problem, man. Thank you for listening, brother Bala, sister Bala. Bala. I don't know, say Bala Nice. Thank you for listening. And all you brothers and sisters out there listening and sharing this podcast, very important. That's right. Black strong, black power, black love. This is the month for that. And black history is all day, every day. We all be nation. But we got a lot to talk about. Y'all saw in the title. Oh, brother Mike, I'm about to share it right now, man. The word is love. Love, man. Love of self, love of others, love for your people, love for your mission, love for life. We got to start living in love, man, because, we live in vibrations and frequencies and stuff like that. And people want to underestimate the power of music all the time. You know what I'm saying? People want to underestimate the power of music. Music can heal. It can wound. It can create. It can destroy. And black people, we are some powerful people because we're not, we can't. We're in tune with some things that other people are not in tune with in nature and stuff like that in the universe. And so when we do certain things where like a person might be acting like Robert De Niro or Al Pacino, they actors, right? They can play gangsters, psychopaths, and all this stuff, and they can still be, they're just acting. They're celebrities, you know what I'm saying? They're icons. But with us, it's like this guy in Memphis, Dr. Black. He used to say, your words create worlds, right? Think about Tupac and Biggie. Biggie, his first album was Ready to Die. And then what was the name of his second album? It was Life After Death. And when did that album come out? After he was shot up in L.A. So he was Ready to Die, his first album. And his second album was Life After Death. His biggest success, he could not even enjoy because he was dead. This husband and father was dead at 24 years old. Could not even enjoy the fruits of his labor. But the power in life and death resides in the tongue. Same thing with brother Tupac. He talked about death around the corner, about dying, not living to be an old man, dying at 25, and it happened. Because you create this environment. Thank you so much, brother Michael. Thank you so much for the donation. Because we're creating this brother asshole by nature. Thank you for tuning in. Crazy conspiracy theorists think Tupac is still alive. I'm gonna get to that, but I want to tell y'all how much power. Be careful what you say and what you speak over your life. That's why I want to get at, because black people, we are in tune with something that a lot of other people ain't in tune with. White folks go crazy over that soul music. I just came from Clarksdale, Mississippi, spending time with a beloved friend of mine this weekend. Clarksdale is a small town, right? There's 17,000 people. I said 2,000. It seems like it's 2,000 people down there, but according to the census, it's about 17,000 people. And this small little hamlet in the Delta produced the likes of a Sam Cooke, of a Ike Turner, of a Rick Ross the rapper, of Charles Wright. Express Yourself, the 103rd Street Man, Watchman, Nate Dogg, Smoke Weed Every Day, John Lee Hooker, Muddy Waters from Coahoma County, where Clarksdale is. All these musicians came out this one place. Sam Cooke, y'all don't know that he said, I was born by the river, right? In a little tent. The change's gonna come, son. I was born by the river, by a little tent. He was actually talking about the Sunflower River in Clarksdale. And he was born in a tent, meaning tenement. So he was born by the river, the Sunflower River, in a little tenement. And we think he was born by the river in a little tent, but that's so biblical sounding, right? So prophetic, so biblical sounding, like the birth of a prophet, of a baby Jesus or something like that, right? So it's very catchy. So that's Clarksdale. And you know, they have a Grammy museum in Mississippi. They only got 2 Grammy museums, I believe, in the country. You know, the Grammys is the top music award, right? It's like the equivalent of an Oscar or a Tony or an Emmy. And the reason why they got this second Grammy museum in Mississippi is because Mississippi has produced more Grammy winners than any place in the country. Once again, let me say, Mississippi has produced more Grammy winners than any place in the country. Think about that. This state is normally last in education, last in wealth, but it produced some of the greatest musicians this country has ever produced. Come from Mississippi. Some of the greats. And I just named you some of them, and they all come from one town in Clarksdale, Mississippi. That's one town. We're not talking about Indianola, where B.B. King is from. We're not even talking about Jackson, Mississippi. We're not talking about all these other places in Mississippi. Just one place. It's fascinating. But yet people go crazy over the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Grateful Dead and everything white that copies or got their blueprint from the black people, from the black master teachers. So I just want to let people know that black folks are the master teachers of humanity. And I know, like, we don't have to go to Egypt to figure that out. I mean, the king of country music is Hank Williams Sr. His master teacher was a black man named Rufus Payne, known as T-Tot, down in Montgomery, Alabama. This has been documented. He acknowledged that was his teacher, and they did a monument in his honor in the cemetery where he's buried at, you know, sponsored by the Grand Ole Opry and his son, Hank Williams Jr. His music does have reference of reincarnation. Yeah, Tupac is interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna get Tupac is dead physically, but he's alive in spiritual form. You can't kill energy. Tupac, you know what I'm saying? He's a fascinating person. I'm a fan of Tupac. I'm a Tupac fan. I'm a fan of his music. Thought it was a tragic loss. I ain't gonna never forget where I was at and who I was with when I heard the news that Tupac died. Actually, I was with my mom and my family. I was 16 years old, and we were going home to our townhouse. And then as soon as we made it to the driveway to get into the townhouse community, the radio came on. They interrupt their regularly scheduled program to tell us that Tupac was killed. This is like after 6 o'clock p.m. What is after 6? Yeah, after 6 p.m. Central Time, I believe. And then my mama did a U-turn and went to the Target next door. And I got the last All Eyes on Me CD in Target that was on the shelves. I actually got the last copy of All Eyes on Me, the double CD that Pac came out with, in, you know, back in the day. It's a classic, right? The first rap double CD. I got the last one that was on the shelves at Target next to my home. Went home, listened to it all night. You know what I'm saying? Trying to decipher, look for codes and stuff. What Pac was saying, what they leave some type of message. Because we all thought when we heard Tupac got shot in Vegas, I mean, we was tripping on Monday in class. We saying, "Oh, Tupac will come back, man. He gonna be a couple of body parts and a pickle jar, but he's gonna be back doing his rap thing, beefing with everybody." We thought Pac was Superman. We thought he gonna bounce back from that. You know, then later on in the week, he's dead, and it was a shock. It's like how people might have felt when they heard the news that JFK was killed or MLK was killed. You'll never forget what you was doing and who you was with, because that's the defining moment for my generation. That was the defining moment for our generation or my generation because of Tupac. I mean, he was like fascinating, man. I mean, he was like the James Dean, the Marlon Brando guy. I mean, he was larger than life, man. That Juice, that one role in Juice, man. Had Pac lived long enough, I don't doubt at all he would have won an Oscar. Because he was a hell of an actor. You know what I'm saying? He was a hell of a character actor. He probably would have won an Oscar easily. And it'll be interesting to think about what he would be doing at approaching 50 years old. Will he be very involved in politics? And what will he be doing right now? Because you look at, you know, we got a chance to see what people like A.L.L. Cool J and Ice-T and Puffy and even Jay-Z, what they're doing now. But what will Pac be doing right now? What will he be talking about? How would the rap game look right now, you know, with Pac, you know, or Biggie still around? You know, look at what Jay-Z doing. Look what Puff doing, you know. Dr. Dre. How would that look right now? This music is very powerful. Yeah, we did thought he was going to pull it through. You're right, Brother Ronald. I mean, his music is very powerful. I mean, you listen to songs like "Keep Your Head Up," "Dear Mama." Man, black women. I mean, mom love "Dear Mama." She's a Pac. She don't listen to all of Pac's music, but I mean, she loves "Dear Mama." That's a Mother's Day anthem. You know what I'm saying? She loved "Keep Your Head Up." Pac was a genius, man. It was like a Marvin Gaye, man. They knew how to write the lyrics of the times. They understood the time. They were the prophets of the time. And Pac is so misunderstood. And that's my thing. You got to go into his roots, man, where he come from. Look at his background, right? His mama was a Panther, right? Afeni Shakur. She was a brilliant mind herself. You know, we lost her like, what, a year or two ago. And she was a Panther. Got caught up in Panther 21, the trial up in New York City. They indicted 21 Panther Party members of New York chapter. They accused them of trying to plot to blow up landmarks and monuments in New York City. And she defended herself while she was pregnant with Tupac. She defended herself. And you got to think about Tupac's, the person who set them up was Eugene Roberts. Now, you heard about Eugene Roberts before. He was Malcolm X's chief bodyguard. He was Malcolm X's chief bodyguard when he was shot at Audubon. So this is an undercover NYPD who was Malcolm X's chief bodyguard and also a member of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. So you can look all this stuff up online. Just don't take my word for it, because my job is to throw crumbs out there and y'all figure out where the crumbs are coming from or if the crumbs are legitimate. My job is not to just hold people by the hand and try to tell them this is right or wrong. My job is to help you understand your role as a researcher, as well as a thought provocateur, and as an advocate for truth, justice, and love. It's your job to find this information that's out there. You know, I'm telling you stuff. Don't just take my word for it. You just can't read a book and say this is the truth or facts, because there's a lot of lies and distractions and misdirection going on right now in the world today. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I feel like, you know, I can't sit back no more. I got to take a more of an active role, because this is part of my mission. I didn't know this was going to be part of my mission. Like, I didn't know I'll be talking to you all and that y'all be, blessed with the words I'm saying. But you get also his aunt, Ashada Shakur, right? She exiled in Cuba. She was broke out in a prison break. You know, Black history is better than science fiction and Hollywood fiction. I always tell people, if you learn the truth about Black people and Black history, it's way better than science fiction or Hollywood movies, because you can't, this stuff, like, man, it don't sound real, but it's real. Because really, Black folks, we like the real superheroes. You talking about this Black Panther movie? We had real Black Panthers that did some incredible things. Yeah, you produce some phenomenal people, man. And it's a grave injustice when we don't tell these stories of our ancestors and also support the people who are doing things on the scene right now. It is a grave miscarriage of justice when we don't tell the truth and provide true testimony for our people. So his mama went through that, right? She got out. She basically was blackballed for the work she was doing in the 60s and 70s, right? And these Black Panthers, a lot of times the people that speak out for people, they tend to get blackballed. You know, community don't always support the people that support us, because sometimes we don't understand these people, because we rely on our enemies for understanding who we are. Too often in our community, in our Black community, we rely on our enemies to tell us who we are and who our friends are. And that's a grave miscarriage of justice, because to remember the words of Brother Malcolm, only a fool will let their enemies be the primary educators of their children. And he also said that the media is the most powerful entity on the planet because it influences and controls the minds of the masses. So this is why we got to provide a counter narrative the best way we can, whether it be going YouTube Live or Facebook Live or doing the Twitter thing or Snapchatting this and I said Snapchatting that and whatever y'all do out there, Instagramming. We got to learn that it is power. It is not only power, it has redemption. It has a healing influence when you decide to become a major player in the telling of your story, of your people's story. Because if you don't tell your people's story, they get no glory. Because if we don't tell their stories, their ancestors get no glory. So we got to tell the truth about Pac. You know, we got to research it and stop letting people, come up with this BS. Don't let these Hollywood movies tell you this was Tupac. Tupac lived 25 years. They can't fit 25 years of intense living within 2 or 3 hours. That's not fair to Tupac. That's not fair to us. But look at his family background. I just told you his mama. She come from North Carolina. By his aunt, Ashada Shakur, who's broke out of prison up in New Jersey, whatever. And she lives in Cuba, supposedly. I don't know if she's still alive or not. We don't know. His godfather was Geronimo Pratt. Geronimo Pratt was a decorated Vietnam War veteran, a brilliant strategist for the Black Panther Party out in L.A. He went through a lot of hell serving his people. His wife was pregnant, and she was killed along with his baby, yet to be born, and stuffed in a mattress and thrown in a ravine in L.A. Then, not only that, he was at a meeting with the top leadership of the Panther Party, but yet the police and authorities say he killed a white woman who was several hundred miles away. And the reason why we know he didn't do this is because the government had photos and video and surveillance of him at the meeting. And my question is, why did this man spend 30 years, I guess, in jail if the government knew he didn't do it? If the Black Panther leadership knew he was meeting with them, how come they didn't testify on his behalf? Or did they testify on his behalf? I don't know, because I remember reading an article. If some of the jurors said they knew that the government had this type of surveillance on him, they would have found him not guilty. So they withheld evidence from the jury. And the government knew he was an innocent man. That's Tupac's godfather, Geronimo Pratt. And so he's the next generation. He's a Panther Cub, right? He's a Panther Cub. And his mama trained him to be an intellectual. You know, she made sure that he was a voracious reader, highly intelligent, very charismatic, as we know. You know, he knew about Fred Hampton Sr. growing up, what happened to Fred Hampton Sr. People forget Fred Hampton was just 21 years old when he was assassinated by the state. And the FBI was watching him since he was 14 or 15 years old because of his amazing organizational abilities. When he was organizing the youth council in Maywood, Illinois, and his mom was the babysitter for Emmett Till. So yeah, so Tupac knew about Fred Hampton, and he was raised to be a revolutionary. His father or stepfather, Matulu Shakur, who I believe still is in prison on some BS, but that's another story. But you know, just look at the background of Tupac, where he come from, his people. Look up his people, and then we can move on to like Tupac, the activist rapper. All this stuff is coming up in the 90s because people forget Tupac only lived to be 25 years old. His career wasn't that long. In the in bigger scheme of things, his career was not that long. You know what I'm saying? He made he was a short stay, but has made a long impact. You know. Okay, Sister Erica Drew. They always present a character or group to try and erase the real meanings of things. You say ISIS, and the first thing people think of is a terrorist group and not the goddess Black Panthers. That is so true. Thank you, Sister Williams, and thank you for supporting the live streams with your Patreon support. And y'all can do this as well. Sister Barbara Williams, thank you so much for being a true soldier. SOL. SOULDIER. Soldier. Sorry about that. I had a brain freeze. Was Karenga working for the feds, excuse me. The guy who invented Kwanzaa, from my understanding, based on information out there, was an agent. The US organization was supported by the intelligence agencies in this country. Karenga is an interesting character. Y'all should look him up. He went to jail for torturing Black women. He went to jail, and now he's a tenured professor out in California. He's a tenured professor out in California. I don't want to see. My thing is, it's like this Tupac stuff, right? I don't know if y'all. I know y'all been hip to like what's going on with Tupac right now. How they bringing up stuff that happened 20-something, almost 30 years ago, whatever, with Pac, and he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame recently. Well earned, well deserved. He had that movie, that biopic that came out this past summer. I wasn't feeling it that much. Because when you're a Tupac fan, like it's different. Like when you actually was like, I was a teenager when Tupac was around. you know, walking the planet doing this thing. And so when you a fan like that, you ain't gonna. I guess the movie was good for them young millennials because they give them something to go on. But that movie was very short in understanding pop. It did not really have a strong storyline, in my opinion. It told us stuff that we already knew about. It was very topical, but it was not a bad movie. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is. It's a movie, but it was too topical for me. I wanted some deep digging because there's a lot of things, theories about Tupac. Some people believe he was a CIA asset, you know, that his mama gave him up to the government. And I say all this say, well, no, I don't know, because there was an article that came out back in '93. This guy named, I believe, Steve Tompkins, who worked for the Commercial Appeal in Memphis, he wrote an article about Dr. King and COINTELPRO. And it's talked about how Dr. King's family was under U.S. government surveillance for 3 generations. So you had for three generations, Dr. King's family under surveillance by the government, by the U.S. government, starting with his maternal grandfather all the way up to him. And then what people don't understand, look at what happened to Dr. King's family after he died. The next year, they found his brother, A.D. King, floating in his swimming pool, I think in his suit and tie. And he could swim. So that was questionable. Then his mama got killed by the so-called Black Hebrew Israelite at Ebenezer Church at the Oregon. She was killed by a so-called lone gunman. And you don't know how the government is very interested in how the hell they handle things. Because even with Booker T. Washington, his death is now questionable. I interviewed a sister from Mobile, Alabama, who wrote a book about Booker T. Washington's death. And now they're saying that he was poisoned. And you know, people don't understand Booker T. Washington was interesting. First and foremost, Booker T. Washington was the mentor to Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey and Booker T. Washington were pen pals. Marcus Garvey used to write to Booker T. Washington about starting a similar Tuskegee program in Jamaica. And one of the main reasons why Marcus Garvey came to America was to meet and work with Booker T. Washington. But Booker T. Washington died in 1915, so Marcus decided to stay over here anyway, and he formed the United Negro Improvement Association in 1916. Yeah, black media does not matter right now, unfortunately. There's not, you know, it's just so much stuff going on. And speaking of the media thing, Dr. King was at a radio DJ convention in Atlanta back in 1967, I believe. And he talked about the importance of black folks controlling their media. He said that one of the pivotal things that made the Montgomery bus boycott such a success back in the 50s was that they had a black radio that was like sending out coded messages through the music and through the talk on the radio. They were able to help organize the people in the movement through the radio, through the black radio station. And that boycott lasted for 381 straight days. And you also talk about the fact, you know, you talk about Me Too. You had black women being raped and sexually assaulted by bus drivers, by taxi cab drivers, and even police. You had white men in authority positions abusing black women. So when they started that bus boycott, you had black men stepping up. These brothers that came back from Korea and from World War II, they were stepping up and protecting the sisters. So you didn't hear no incidents of rape or anything happening those 381 straight days when the black men were organizing with the sisters in their community to protect the women and the children. So that's something that need to be talked about, because we're talking about Me Too right now. And you know, a lot of people are talking about men. And you know, men have been abused too. Been men and boys been abused by this system, as well as women and girls. So we all have been victimized in some type of way, especially black people, by this system. It has been documented. Y'all should look at the movie if y'all could stomach it. Find the movie online, Goodbye Uncle Tom, that came out in the 70s. Find the unedited director's cut of Goodbye Uncle Tom. It came out in the 70s. It talks about the historical truths of slavery in this country, what black folks actually went through. It does not pull any punches. It is very emotionally disturbing. It was for me. I don't know how you feel, because a lot of us have been so desensitized by this culture that we live in. But this movie was produced by some Italians. And basically, the synopsis of the movie is that you got these documentary filmmakers. They go back in time from the 60s or 70s during the Black Power movement and stuff. They go back in time to actually record what was happening during slavery from all vantage points. They use primary sources like they use like diary entries and newspapers from that era to tell the story about American slavery. And it is so disturbing because you look at the things they talk about: sex farms, right? Sex farms where they produce slaves through sex, where they force slaves to help or enslave people to have sex with each other. So you come up with this term when people talk about motherfuckers and playing the dozens, right? Because you had sons having sex with their mothers and sisters and aunts, whatever. And sometimes they'll produce children who had health defects. So they will sell them by the dozen, right? So I mean, so MFer, the term MFer came out of that supposedly. But you're dealing with incest. So we got, as Black people, all types of generational trauma that we're dealing with. We got ancestral memory that we're dealing with. And sometimes we don't know what the hell going on. But a lot of that is unresolved issues that we got from our ancestors. They're always talking about high blood pressure and all this other crap is hereditary. No, that trauma is hereditary. That trauma is real, and it produced the sickness that we deal with on a daily basis. That sometimes, most time, goes unaddressed. Thank you, Bowers, first for tuning in. Okay, Miss Jackson. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Yeah, let's talk about Miss Jackson. Y'all should check out the interview on Blog TV with Miss Jackson, the woman who accused Tupac of raping her along with his friends. And I want y'all to understand this. Y'all can look this up for yourself. Tupac did not go to jail for rape. Let me repeat this one more time. Tupac did not go to jail for rape. He went to jail for improper touching. Like he touched on her butt or something like that. They got him for that. They not sent him to jail for rape. They sent him to jail for improper touching. And then you got to question, why they sent him to jail. Why did they have separate trials? You know what I'm saying? Because she said she was gang raped or supposed something like that. Why were there separate trials? Why did they separate Tupac from his other co-defendants? And think about what happened before. When Tupac shot at the off-duty Atlanta police officers who were harassing Black motorists, supposedly. He actually got away with that. The system said he was innocent of that, but they didn't put that on the front page of the news. They put that on the back page. The front page was him shooting off-duty cops. And then there was a thing with Tupac where they try to blame his lyrics for causing a teenager or kid to kill a state trooper down in Houston, I believe, or in Texas. So they were using Tupac, they'll blame him for everything. Dan Quayle was even blaming Tupac for violence in America and all this stuff, the dysfunction in the hood. So Tupac was a targeted individual. We always talk about targeted individuals. Tupac was a targeted individual because you look at his family background, you look at the stuff he was doing as an activist, as a Black man, as a well-known Black man, as a young Black man with some means. I mean, he was beat up real bad by the Oakland police for jaywalking, supposedly. He had sued the Oakland Police Department for that. I just want to put all this stuff out there. So even with Miss Jackson, what happened with her, I just think it's interesting she's coming out now. Because, it's the climate is conducive for that. And so it's really like you got to think, where is the statute of limitations on these things? Like, I mean, do we talk about Frederick Douglass and do we talk about Benjamin Banneker? I mean, how the hell? I'm not saying that, I'm not being dismissive of Miss Jackson at all. I seen the interview, and to me, it was disturbing because the sister, she was dealing with some type of trauma. Like, I don't know, something happened to her. I would like to say this: something happened to all of us. We all dealing with trauma. But like to see her on the film, she was very uncomfortable. People try to say, well, she stumbled on her words, she changed her words. I mean, she's a nice looking woman. I ain't gonna lie to you, she's nice looking. At 44 years old, she's a beautiful woman. But at the same time, you got to question her motives. Why come out now? I mean, now we know what she looked like. Because at first you didn't know what she looked like. You got all these pictures where they talk about, Tupac and Ayanna Jackson. They have pictures of Tupac with a random woman, but people assume that was her. Now they say that this person that came forward is the Miss Jackson from that time period. Yeah, I mean, it's an opportune time to get some money. I mean, because this economy is something else, man. Because in actuality, I mean, they phasing people out. This automation thing is real, y'all. They phasing people out. They trying to eliminate people. They poison your water. Look at Flint. They still haven't fixed the Flint water situation. So don't think that depopulation shit ain't real. They trying to depopulate the planet. They are trying to get rid of people. Look at this flu, this monster flu. They're trying to get rid of people, man. Y'all look at the movies like Contagion and stuff like that. They telling you what they doing to us. And we keep on thinking it's entertainment, like it's bread and circuses. Yeah, but Tupac was targeted. No doubt about it. It's so many things, so many tangents. I had a chance to talk to Edie Amin of the Outlaws, but a good place to start about, if you want to know about this COINTELPRO stuff as it relates to the black community, I suggest y'all get hooked up with John Potish. This is a white guy out of Baltimore. He's a researcher extraordinaire. He has done a lot of extensive work into COINTELPRO and how it has destroyed and neutralized black leadership in our community. And he talks a lot about Tupac in his books. John Potash, his last name is spelled Potash. I had him on the show a couple times talking about COINTELPRO and Tupac with Edie Amin and some other people. I don't take flu shots. You got to think about, I don't trust the vaccinations at all. Because Robert Kennedy Jr., the son of Robert Kennedy Sr., he has tried to warn us that they was purposefully giving black boys autism through the vaccinations. This is the son of a slain American icon, of a white boy. White privilege. He took it upon himself to try to meet with the Nation of Islam and other black people to let us know that they are using vaccinations to destroy black boys. Oh yeah, the Mann Act. I call it the Jack Johnson Act. I mean, it's so deep. I mean, but think about CDC, right? The Centers for Disease Control is located in Atlanta. Y'all remember the Atlanta child murders, right? Think about that. Y'all really think Wayne Williams did all that by himself? You think Wayne Williams really did that? There's always some lone gunman, right? They always try. It's the lone gunman. He acted alone. She acted alone. Think about when Gerald Ford almost got assassinated. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't remember that. I wasn't around even, but I read about it and I did a little bit of research into it. The person that tried to assassinate Gerald Ford was a so-called Manson follower. Charles Manson, who followers killed all those people in L.A. back in, I believe, 1969, Sharon Tate and all that. One of his so-called followers was trying to kill the president, Gerald Ford. And I recently heard an interview of this investigative journalist. He said one of his colleagues, after that happened, he went to visit Charles Manson in prison. And he asked Charles Manson, like, this is after he got convicted of allegedly killing all these people and been sent to jail for life, whatever, or for forever. First, they was going to put him to death. Then they abolished the death penalty in California, so they commuted his sentence. He died recently, Charles Manson. But he told the dude, basically, I work for the government. That we work for the government. The government basically sent them out there to do those things, to cause the so-called helter-skelter race war. Look all this stuff up. We talk about MK Ultra. We talk about over in Britain, the Tavistock Institute. Look at the Beatles. Look what happened to John Lennon. I mean, I'm just throwing stuff out there. I just want y'all to don't be afraid to go down these rabbit holes. Don't be afraid to go down these rabbit holes. Because so much stuff. I mean, it's satanic, man. Blood sacrifices are real. I mean, wars are the ultimate blood sacrifices because it make the wealthy elite a lot of money. They built their wealth through wars. How do you think the Rothschilds got into power? How you think they got into power? They financed the British government against Napoleon. That's how the Rothschilds got into power. That's how they started their banking dynasty. By lending the British government money to fight Napoleon. And these wealthy elites, they fund both sides of wars. They fund the winning side as well as the losing side. Check out see about American Civil War, what people don't talk about a lot, the Knights of the Golden Circle. The Knights of the Golden Circle, interesting group during the Civil War. They was part of the Confederacy. I call them the Southern Fried Illuminati. Knights of the Golden Circle. You should Google that up and research that. because the goal of the South was they wanted to take over not only America but also go into South America and make it part of the South, like Brazil and stuff. So it's interesting. I mean, Cardi B could be one, because I talked about the Beatles being products of the Tavistock Institute. They were used to stop Americans from questioning what happened to JFK in '63. The Beatles came along in '64, and even John Lennon talks about how they was utilized to get young people in America hooked on drugs. Listen to their songs like "Hey Jude," which is about heroin, and "Lucy in the Sky" and with diamonds is about LSD. And Dick Gregory was the spiritual guru for John Lennon, and John Lennon told him these things. He wanted Dick Gregory to help him get detox because he was tired of being a pawn in the satanic music industry. That's why they had him assassinated, because he wanted to use his talents for the ultimate good. He wanted to help elevate humanity. That's why they killed John Lennon, because he was a threat to the establishment, because he woke up. He didn't want to be a puppet no more, and they killed him. Yeah, Jack Johnson did invent. They called the monkey wrench because Jack Johnson patented the wrench. Yeah, he was an inventor. People don't know that he invented the wrench and all these things. But but no, they pushing that. The swirling is pushed. Jack Johnson would thrive in this era. I have no doubt that Jack Johnson would have been better than many a Kardashian and Jenner. Jack Johnson would have had a couple of Kardashians and Jenners. This is like heaven for Jack Johnson. Him and OJ would be hanging out probably. Getting all the white girls and tag teaming. Because look at the Kardashians. That stuff is interesting. Have y'all been peeping that out? It's like they getting all the brothers. They building their own little empire. Their own little Mandingo empire over there. They got all the brothers. Be some talented mixed babies over there. They create some Obamas or something. I don't know what's going on. This is fascinating, man. Yeah, Dick Gregory is something else, man. But it's hard to miss him because to me, he's just everywhere, man. I see Dick Gregory. I hear him everywhere. I see him everywhere. I see his influence everywhere. Yeah, the Kardashians are interesting, man. They all gypsy. They move around a lot. They gypsy women. Gypsy women. Yeah, our melanin is the key, man. But we don't understand who we are, though, man. See, the Kardashians, they not only sleep with the brothers, they know the brothers. They know who black people are. We don't know who we are. They know who black people are, man. And I can't. Don't hate the players. Don't even hate the game. Learn and understand the players in the game. Don't let emotions get in this. Just understand what's going on. But I'm just saying that they all getting a lot of brothers. They not just getting they getting talented brothers, music geniuses, world-class athletes to breed with. They breeding a new race of people. I don't know, man. It's get crazy over here. But like with Tupac, man, and also there's a theory that Death Row was a CIA front. And people say it's not hard to believe at all, because the CIA has always been involved in trying to control the culture and information dissemination. The CIA had front groups back in the 50s and stuff to promote American culture. The CIA invested heavily in the promotion of this art form called abstract expressionism. Look up abstract expressionism, CIA. They use groups to promote that, because they say America needs to be known as an art powerhouse as well. You have over there in Europe, you got Cubism and all this other stuff come out of Europe. We need to have our own American art style. So they invested heavily in the promotion of American culture. They control media outlets. The Washington Post have been CIA for decades. Let me repeat. The Washington Post, the one that Jeff Bezos, Amazon brought, been CIA for decades. They've been having intelligence people work at the Washington Post, controlling the news. It was a woman named Judith Beck-Stein. I believe she brought the Washington Post, so she wanted to buy the Washington Post. They put her in a mental institution. Judith Beck-Stein was going to buy the Washington Post. She wanted to tell the truth about what was going on in America. She wanted to support the civil rights movement. And when they found out what she was about to do, they put her ass in a mental institution. She wrote a book about her experiences in this mental institution. It's in the DC area. It's closed now, but she wrote a book about it. It's available on Amazon.com. Her name is Judith Beck-Stein. And Katharine Graham, that movie that came out called The Post with Tom Hanks playing Ben Bradley, the editor at the Washington Post, and Meryl Streep playing Katharine Graham, whatever her name was. Her husband was died under mysterious circumstances. He was found in a tub. He allegedly killed himself, allegedly. Because I think at the time, like, he was friends with the Kennedys. He was a real good friend with John Kennedy. And I believe he had a mistress. This guy had a mistress at the time. He was going to divorce Katharine Graham and marry his mistress. And I think he wrote his will where his mistress would have benefited from his will. But I think he was trying to take the Washington Post away from Katharine Graham, whatever, and he got killed some way. But look at Katharine Graham. This stuff ain't new. Jeff Bezos has been commissioned by the CIA to create a cloud for them. A cloud to keep their information and data. I'm thinking about the rise of Jeff Bezos and Amazon. Where the hell he come from? Do the research on that. He's worth, I believe, $113 billion. I remember when Amazon first started. I mean, damn, it went from a garage now an empire. I can't believe that Amazon is this big now. It's crazy. And Sister Williams said, but the man ended up in a sunken place messing with those Kardashian witches. Well, it's a Faustian deal, right? It's funny how this fame thing works. You see how people end up messed up on fame. Like they die of drug overdoses. They die premature death, and people still want the fame. It's like you flying too close to the sun like Kid Icarus. You saw that he flew too close to the sun. You saw what happened to Kid Icarus, but people always got in their mind, well, I can fly farther. I won't get burnt out like Kid Icarus. Everybody got this interesting mindset. I notice with celebrities too, they have a need. They have a hunger for attention. A lot of these so-called A-list celebrities and celebrities in general, a lot of them have been victims of all type of abuse growing up, whether it be mental, sexual, spiritual abuse. And so they seek the love of strangers to feel validated, to fill a void that has been left empty by the traumas they have suffered in life that have not been addressed or healed. A lot of us have been dealing with these traumas, and we pass it along to our children. They pass it along. People call these generational curses, but this stuff must be addressed. Yeah, he must be the richest man in the world. I mean, he's worth $113 billion. Is Jeff Bezos' character, but who is he? Sister Will, you said Amazon might buy Kohl's and Target. He got Whole Foods. This guy is, what is this Amazon? What is this thing? It's like Walmart on steroids. Man, I've never seen nothing like this. Get Out was a game changer, man. I mean, whatever you feel about Get Out, you might, it wasn't everybody cup of tea, but it changed the game. Because I think what's going on right now, even when you saw what happened with Donald Trump and the memo, right? This is not the year. You cannot get away with lying and cover-ups. This is a year where things will be exposed for what they are. But what you got to do in this time period is develop a discernment and your God third eye to understand what's really happening, to separate the fact from the fiction. You got to develop that knowing, and it's something you got to work on for yourself. And really, what it comes down to is we all got to find a way to have better relationships with who we are. Like me, myself, and I. You got to have an understanding of who you are, what motivates you, where you come from, who your people is, so you can have better relationships with people in your life and better understanding of where they're coming from. You got to learn how to have some type of compassion and empathy for you, so you can have compassion and empathy for other people. But right now, what is happening is that the truth is out there, like X-Files, but the truth is being exposed. You can't hide no more. You cannot lie no more to people and think you're going to get away with it, because you're going to be exposed. People are being exposed. But with Get Out, it just laid the truth out for what it is. And Jordan, what's his name? Jordan Peele, he understands. You know how I said people live quiet lives of desperation. He's married to a white woman. His brother-in-law is a big-time media person who helped market the movie, promote the movie online, right? He married to a white woman. He understand how they think. His wife, her stepmother is black. Her daddy married a black woman. Get Out was telling us to get the fuck out there and do something. Get him out. Get out. Get something. Okay. Yeah, but but Get Out let you know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Like what Dr. John Henry Clark, to paraphrase him, history is the clock. It tell you what time it is, what's going on now. So, when the grandfather in Get Out was interesting, he talked about how, or the son talked about how his grandfather or his father was obsessed with Jesse Owens. He tried for the Olympics. What was going on during that time period? The rise of Nazi Germany, the superior ones, all this other stuff. This is what's going on now. We got the Fourth Reich. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't understand that the Nazis never went anywhere. They just came over to America. And they started working the CIA, Defense Department, and NASA, the space program. So they haven't went anywhere. We helped produce the Nazis. I mean, we mean the American way. Funded the Nazi way. And that's something we got to deal with in research. Operation Paperclip. Learn what that is. And then we got to understand too, is that the enemy is not the enemy outside the walls, it's the enemy within. The enemy within does more damage than the enemy on the outside. So all this boogeyman stuff about Russia and all this other stuff, ISIS was the invention of the CIA. It's CIA-ISIS. But ISIS used to be a good thing, right? Like the sister said earlier. ISIS was known, now you think of ISIS as terrorism. See, I got to have a dark boogeyman for people to be terrorized. See, your fear is what they live off of. They suck your blood, your life out through the fear. And that's why Baba D. Gregory said that fear and God could not resist in the same space, because God is love, God is truth, God is justice. Fear is something else. And this system thrives off of it. So we got to learn how to stop feeding those fears and start living in love, justice. You know what I'm saying? Start living in those things. Start speaking those truth to power. The Boyce Watkins situation is interesting. I'm telling y'all right now, this is the age where nobody gets away with nothing. You know how everybody was hating on Dr. Umar Johnson earlier this year? The thing about it is, I stand by my mailman theory. Apply the mailman theory to these leaders and these people that got the platform, even me. The mailman theory would be basically like, look, I'm the mailman. I deliver mail to your mailbox. Don't follow me on my routes. You might be disappointed where I go. I have a personal life outside of being a mailman. I know that's my job to deliver the information to the people, but I have a personal life outside of that. If you choose to follow me in my personal life, you may or may not be disappointed, but it is what it is. I'm a human being. And what you got to learn how to do when you access the mail, discern the real mail from the junk mail. And that's what developing your God eye, your third eye comes into play. You got to develop a real tight relationship with yourself. Know there's not going to be a quick fix for this, because you've been living with you for all your life. You should know you better than anybody else know you. So what I'm saying is, whatever it speaks to you, go towards that. Don't invest time in people, not in a way where you got to be a cult following. I don't believe in that. That's where people get caught up in these cult followings, cult-like followings. Like, even we got caught up with Obama 10, 12 years ago. Don't be like that, because nobody could save you but you. When I mean that nobody could save you, you got to be the one, be able to put in the work to understand the situation and what you in, and also to better understand yourself so you can develop things to help pull yourself out your situation, and also to be able to work with like-minded people. It goes back to, I'll put in historical reference, Dr. King and Ella Baker. You have a master leader. You have a master teacher and organizer in Ella Baker. You have this charismatic leader in Dr. King. They will get into debates because Dr. King said it would take a Messiah-like leader to lead the people. Whereas Ella Baker said it takes a village or community of people to be all leaders. We all work together as a group, as a village to get things done, not by yourself. A lot of us still get caught up in that, that leader thing, that shepherd thing, and it was really about us investing in us. We all we got. Black folks were able to survive our Holocaust, in the, in the past because we worked together. We had extended family. Slavery broke up the black family unit. Sojourner Truth had to restart family after family because a man would be sold, her children would be sold away. Sojourner Truth had to keep on restarting family because this is not DNA to be communal, not communist, but communalist. The village is not DNA. You know what I'm saying? So you have mama sold off and daddy or brother and sister. You got you adopt another person on plantation, Uncle Joe, Aunt Susie. We need the extended family. So we need the village concept in order to survive. It's not necessarily all on a parent or parents to help raise the child. Like I said, it takes the village. And things are getting to a place where we're going to have to go back to that village concept and really embrace that. Yeah, I heard about them not teaching kids how to use cursive writing. Yeah. Yeah, that's some psychological stuff. Sleepy Hollow tips that people have to be willing to kill the representative to let the true self live. It's like some Freudian young stuff or something. But yeah, you gotta do something. You gotta sacrifice something in order to get something. Sacrifices are all necessary in all levels of human activity. Some type of sacrifice. Sometimes compromises, but also sacrifices. Yeah, but people still shoot the messenger though, don't they? As long as the message is delivered, though, that's all it is. It's bigger than one man. But it's almost a sin. It's a crime to teach real Black history in schools in a lot of cases. I have gotten in trouble for speaking to young people about Black history in a frank way, in an honest way. I have lost jobs and stuff like that by doing that. But I think it's a damn shame because it's not the young people that don't want to know. It's the adults that are afraid to know. Because young people, they naturally have intellectual curiosity about things. And they see far worse things on their TV screens at home in the presence of their parents than whatever I could say in words about what happened to Black folks in this country. I remember I was talking to some sometimes I'll be in classrooms, I'll show documentaries, I have discussions with the young people. And a lot of times, a lot of them will say, Mr. Ron, I'm about to graduate from high school. How come people didn't tell me this all this time? I'm really frustrated and angry. I said, don't necessarily be frustrated and angry. Know that you now could know something else, that you have options. Take this time as being an opportunity to find out what you really want to know. And don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to do the things that are necessary to get you into a better understanding of who you are. Because before you can do anything, you got to understand what motivates and inspires you. It's very important. Like I said, once again, you got to have an understanding of you. And you can't let, you can't depend on somebody else to help you have that understanding. You can't depend on Boyce Walker. I'm not, disrespecting nobody, Johnson, Tariq Nasheed. It's on you to find out who you are. People provide tools. Like it's a saying, a broke clock is right twice a day, right? So everybody can be right. You can find wisdom from a fool. Wisdom can reside in the bosom of fools. You know what I'm saying? God works in mysterious ways, right? And like for example, a lot of Black folks have a hard time believing that Black folks were already over here before there was a Columbus or a Pilgrims or slavery. We already had Black folks over here. A lot of Native Americans look like you and I. Look at some of the old photographs they haven't touched up. Like the ones you see on the reservation. No, it's like the Egyptians of today. I'm just gonna say a lot of Native Americans used to be darker than Wesley Snipes. So I mean, like, what is native? What about aboriginal? You can make a case for that. And now, if slavery did take place, I believe slavery happened. It did. I believe Nat Turner was a real person. I have no problem believing those things. But at the same time, you out here Black folks over here. We all Indians. Let's put it that way. And with that said, we should really look at what happened
when the descendants of free black people, or free black men, sued the Cherokee Nation for reparations and citizenship. They won that case this past summer. The black descendants of the free men of the Cherokee Nation won their case against the Cherokee Nation for reparations. Not only reparations, but also they are acknowledged as citizens of the Cherokee Nation. If you don't understand, the Cherokees were fighting for the Confederacy during the Civil War because they were slave owners. When Andrew Jackson kicked the Cherokee out of the Southeast on Trail of Tears, they had their slaves with them, black people. So this is not no make-believe. This actually happened. Matter of fact, the founder of the Klan, Albert Pike, who's from Boston, he was a Confederate general. He was the Brigadier General over the Cherokee Indians. He led the Cherokee Indians into battle during the Civil War. So you can look all this stuff up. That's the founder of the Klan, and also a third degree Freemason, Scottish Rite, Albert Pike, who was friends with Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. So really, we all should be taking the government and these Indian nations to court to try to get our citizenship and reparations. Because the thing about Black Americans is that we are Americans. We're more American than anybody here. We're more American than anybody. But are we citizens? Is our citizenship status respected in this country? The reason why I said that, if you are a citizen, that means you are protected. But who protects Black Americans when we have police brutality, when we have all this stuff going on, the water in Flint? Who is really the spokesperson for the protection of Black people in this country? Because I tell you something. I remember, y'all know, a couple years ago, maybe a year ago. I always say a couple years, a year ago, because times go by so fast. I thought it was 2015 last year. You know what I'm saying? That's how fast time goes by. But what I'm saying is, it was a case down in Alabama, right, where this Indian grandfather came to America to meet his new grandchild. So he was walking around confused in this neighborhood in Alabama, and this white person called the police on him to say that there was a suspicious Black person walking around the neighborhood, like they trying to rob or break in somewhere. This is an elderly man. So the police came. They confronted the Indian man from India. He's from India, the Indian man from India. But he did not obey their commands because probably couldn't understand their English that well. So one of the police officers took him and his body slammed him face first onto the concrete and paralyzed him. He was paralyzed, from my understanding. I don't know if it was permanent paralyzation, but the only reason it became an international incident was because he was a citizen of India. When the Indian government found out what happened to one of their citizens, they demanded that the United States government do something about it. So, I mean, something was done about it. It was made known. The police officer lost his job, and that's it. Because think about it, you go back to the 19th century, where you have Chinese immigrants and Italian immigrants getting lynched and killed by white vigilantes in the Klan. The United States government had to pay restitution back to their government of their native land. So when they killed a Chinese immigrant or they killed an Italian immigrant, the United States government had to pay their government's money where they had citizenship status. So who represents and stands for Black people in America? How is that we could purify water in third world countries, but Flint is still having a water crisis? Because we think that's okay. Because we're not serious about our survival. See, a lot of Jewish people, they serious about Israel. They serious about Israel. You can't say nothing about Israel. You can't make no critique of Israel. You can't take out no funding off Israel. If we treated Flint like they treat Israel, it'd be a different story. Yeah, his son had a child, though. He had a new grandchild. You said the police officer was not fired. Something happened to him. But then again, see, this is the problem. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was fired, and then he got rehired. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, our problem is that we don't follow through on stories. We just, like, is at that moment, oh, man. And then we don't follow through. It's like, are they still talking about Mike Brown and Ferguson around the country? I mean, I remember I went back for the 1-year anniversary of Mike Brown. You had everybody marching through the streets and all this stuff, but there's so much stuff going on right now. People are so distracted with things. Um, like I said, my job is to be a thought provocateur. I'm throwing stuff out there. Y'all research it and find out if it's true or not, or if it's still true. I think that's very important, you know. All right, Yo Folks 3, nothing happened to him. I know the story. Post the link in the chat room. What happened to him? Tell us what happened to him. Because I heard that he got fired. And he could got rehired again, or he got suspended. And that's the problem. Nobody is afraid of Black Americans. Nobody's afraid of Black people. Because if the people were afraid of us, they wouldn't do things to us. Because they can get away with it. Detroit had a you can't blame Kwame Kilpatrick for what happened in Detroit, though. That's the thing. Detroit was on decline since the 67 riots, you know, white flight. You know, Detroit had a thriving community, a thriving Black community, thriving city. They had several million people in Detroit at one point. I think that we got more people in Memphis than they do in Detroit. I'm not sure. Don't take me on my word, but you can look that up. But yeah, but if y'all see information, we need a follow through squad. You know, people need to start following through on these stories because, like, you know, I did some little bit of investigative journalism to a story for this brother named Frederick Jermaine Carter. They found him hanging from a tree back in December 2010 down in Mississippi, in a predominantly white neighborhood. Nation of Islam, they ran a story on it. They put the picture of him hanging on a tree as the front cover of the Final Call, and they attend the funeral services. I think they offer protection and did help organize the funeral service. But
Go back on. Sorry about that, family. Sorry about that. It's my fault. It's my fault. That was my fault. But I was talking about the case for Frederick Jermaine Carter, the young black man who was found hanging from a tree in a predominantly white neighborhood down in Greenwood, Mississippi, back in December of 2010. The Nation of Islam led the way in reporting about the incident. They actually had the story featured on the front page of the Final Call with a photo of the young man hanging from the tree. He was just 23 years young. And at first, it was ruled a suicide. And then somebody said, then it ruled a suicide eventually. Within 48 hours, they ruled a suicide, I believe, or something like that. But yeah, it was reasonable doubt for a lot of people because, like, why would he go so far away from his home? He was on a painting assignment job with his stepfather. They had an assignment. It was on a painting job. Some type of way he wandered away from the painting assignment when his stepfather went to the store to get some supplies. He was missing for a couple of days. Then 48 hours later, they found his body hanging from the tree in a predominantly white neighborhood by the Tallahatchie River. And that's the same river where they pulled Emmett Till's disfigured body from, the Tallahatchie River. So they try to rule a suicide, but like a lot of people in the community had questions and raised a lot of doubt. And it even made national headlines at one point. I think USA Today did a story on it. And like I said earlier, the Nation of Islam, they helped organize the funeral for Frederick Carter. And it kind of went dead after December. Like, you didn't really hear too much about it after December for several weeks because people still was waiting to hear back on the state's autopsy report, right? So they had not released the state's autopsy report for several weeks. And the family, I think the Nation of Islam paid for the family to have a second autopsy done. And what happened was I got involved in the case. I started making phone calls to different state agencies in Mississippi. I talked to the coroner of the county where they found his body. And I talked to some other people. And I finally talked to the guy or person who was responsible for the autopsy, the medical examiner. And he actually is from Africa. He's a world-renowned forensic scientist. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I got that information on my YouTube channel. Just Google or search for Frederick Carter videos. And what happened was he was just hired in the fall of 2010. So he was behind on his caseloads. He was behind because they was understaffed in the medical examiner's office, supposedly. And he told me from his own words that he could not rule it a suicide, but hanging pending investigation. He said it was a hanging pending investigation. So I actually broke that story, and it went viral in its own way. It went social justice viral, social justice, Black consciousness viral. Let's put it away. And so, like, brothers in the nation heard about it. They was congratulating me on breaking that story because soon he said that he told it to me. The information was sent off to the family and made available to the public the next week. So I caught myself start interviewing people, start getting really close to the case. I got too close to the case, actually, in my opinion. I was too emotionally tied to the case. And because I was disappointed, it was not getting the coverage that it deserved. So I just found myself doing interviews, writing about the case on my blog. I actually did like a multi-part investigative series into the case, which included my writings on the case as well as videos, even at the crime scene. What was strange about going to the crime scene was that I went there with we went there as a entourage. You had a state rep Willie Perkins there. You had another state senator, David Jordan. We had the president of the national SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, was there. He actually passed away in the summer of 2011 under questionable circumstances at his home. But we had, SCLC was there.
State rep. We even had police escort. We had police escort there. I had a friend with me from Memphis, and brother Wendell Lee, a local activist, as well as the mother of Frederick Carter and her husband, his stepfather, and their lawyer, Valerie Hicks Poe. We was all there. We went to the scene of the crime, and it was kind of spooky. It was in the middle of the day, but it was like creepy. It was strange. It was like behind the white people homes in a little forest area. It had a dog kennel back there. So you had a bunch of dogs back there in the kennel right next to the tree where he hung himself from, allegedly. They said he used a table to get, to get to where he could get to that tree limb. Cause he was short. I think he was like 5'3" or 5'4" in life. So he used a table supposedly to steady himself to get up to that limb to tie the rope around it. I'm doing this because I don't really believe that it happened like that. To tie the rope around the tree limb, and he hanged himself from that tree limb. And my thing is, right, that happened in December. Here I am on Good Friday 2011, and they still got the damn table out there in the elements. If he allegedly used that table as a way to kill himself, why wasn't that table taken to the crime lab? Why they didn't take that table to the crime lab? They took the rope to the crime lab. Why is that table still out there? And also, this is another thing, because it's like where he died or was hanged, it's not that far away from civilization, right behind a neighborhood. Because people every day would go for walks on that nature path back there. And like I said, they had a dog kennel back there with a bunch of dogs. And it was creepy. And I didn't think about it. I just wish I did. It was a white man in a pickup truck that was watching us. Watching us as a group. He actually drove up to the dog kennel and started feeding the dogs. And I wish I had asked him some questions. I say that because they found his body that Friday in December. They found his body that Friday, December 23rd. I think that was either December 2nd or December 3rd. They found his body. That was a Friday, 2010. People said when they were walking back there that morning, because people go on nature walks, they jog and all that stuff, they didn't see anything hanging from the tree. But they said it was around like maybe 12:30 in the afternoon or 1 o'clock when they found that body hanging from the tree. And the coroner said, and let's see. And the coroner said he'd been dead for at least 48 hours. So if he'd been dead for at least 24 to 48 hours, and yet nobody saw his body hanging from that tree that morning, they found his body in the afternoon, what does that tell you? That he was murdered somewhere else and he was put up in that tree. So I started getting real deep into the case, man. Very passionate. I found out that nobody really cared about what really happened. It was disappointing. I had faith and people wanted to find out what really happened, because I honestly do believe that this case could have been solved, that the truth could have came out, but it was, people sabotaged the case. People that were close to the subject matter, in my opinion, sabotaged the case, which is unfortunate. So, it kind of burned me out a little bit on doing that type of stuff, but, you live and you learn. But I got all the information out there about Frederick Carter. So they lost their receipt. They couldn't take the table back. Man, it's like, you know what? I won't be surprised, because that was 2011 when I went out there. Good Friday 20. That table might still be out there where they say he allegedly committed suicide. Crazy. Yeah, I don't, revolution, we so far, we not hungry enough for revolution. It's not bad enough, which is like weird. It's not bad enough for revolution right now. The closest, like I said, that we ever been to revolution was not the 60s. 60s was like more like reactionary stuff. It was the 30s, the 1930s was the closest we've been to revolution recently. So you got to study what happened in the 30s, man. They suppressed a lot of stuff that was going on in the 30s, like the the strikes and the riots and stuff like that. After the money went crazy, people went to the street. White folks took to the streets along with everybody else. You had white folks, you had the bonus army, World War I veterans demanded the government give them some type of benefits for fighting the war and the Great War. The Great War. You had Huey Long share the wealth program, 8 million followers, challenging Franklin Roosevelt for the White House. Got assassinated at the State House in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, September 8th. He was shot. He died September 10th, 1935. I think it was 35 or 36. But you had a lot of stuff going on in the 30s. Labor unions and everything. And the communists and all that stuff. Yeah, this is the year for transparency. People say the age of Aquarius, but this is the time where everything that been in the dark comes to light. So this is not the year that you want to lie a lot and do cover-ups. This is the year you want to come clean and make sure your houses are in order and make sure your karma is good. This is that year. Hey, brother Sean Covington, thanks for supporting the We All Be movement and for checking in. And y'all can support, if you want to support now, you can do super chat. You can sign up to Patreon and make a recurring donation, make a one-time donation at PayPal, or you can buy some Artivist art. All this stuff is available in the subscription box below. And, because I think it's important that we support what we want, because I don't look at a lot of TV now. People telling me I need to look at This Is Us and Game of Thrones. A lot of time I don't look at this stuff until they go off of the air and they're available in Netflix or something, on Amazon Prime or something. I replay the seasons. I don't really get caught up in the crowd thing. A lot of songs that are hot right now on the radio, I haven't listened to them. I can't listen to radio. So I might listen to them like a year or two after everybody else. And so, I like these songs and stuff like that. But we have such a culture that's into worship of people, the idolatry. People say they're Christians and stuff, but why are we worshiping these celebrities? Why are we following celebrities everywhere? Why do we want celebrities as presidents and head of state? Do we want serious people? Or we want people that like all their lives for the most part play make-believe? Why is that so? Yeah, Jack Daniels, he got his recipe from a black man. They got all the money. I think they gave the black man a statue, but they're not sharing the generational wealth with the family. It was a black man that taught Jack Daniels how to do their thing. They gotta understand. White folks know the power of black excellence. The white system exploits black excellence for themselves because we don't have no vision for what we should do with our black excellence. A lot of times we're just reactionary. We want to prove something to white people, like we're just as good as you. All that bullshit. Nah, I'm not just as good as you. I'm better than you. My people taught you everything you know, white boy. I'm channeling my inner Dick Gregory. Huh? Shit. I always want to prove that we belong with white America. That's our problem. We don't want truth. We don't want justice. We just want to live next door to white people. We don't want truth. We don't want justice. We just want to work with white people. And I'm not even like going hard, because you gotta understand, most of the white people who think they white ain't really white. Not white by like in terms of like if you don't have enough money in the bank, like Baba Gregory say, you can't be white. If you can't set policy, if you don't have money in the bank, if you don't control the banks, you can't be white. A lot of people think they white, they just became white in the last 100 years. I mean, there's nothing wrong with libations. I mean, everybody got their vices, man. And the key to life is, they say, doing things in moderation. Doing things in moderation. But it's like even the Super Bowl. People get all into that. We lost. We lost. We won. I just watched some entertainment. I didn't lose nothing. I didn't win nothing. I just wanted to be distracted for a couple hours from the day-to-day living. Yeah, I didn't bet anything. I know some people bet money, and and I'm glad that the NFL is finally moving the team to Las Vegas, because now we know the game is rigged. You cannot say the game is not rigged. It's always been rigged, and Donald Trump told us that. He said the game is rigged, and people think Donald Trump crazy. They got you in your emotions. Y'all look at CNN all day, look at MSNBC all day. All they doing is getting you in your feelings, man. Y'all treat Donald Trump like, y'all like scorn lovers when it comes to Donald Trump. Oh, he did me wrong. Fuck him. Fuck Donald Trump. Trump. Give a damn about that, man. Y'all should be looking at the fact that things are finally being exposed. Y'all gonna know the truth about UFOs and aliens and all that shit this year. All this shit coming out. But at the meantime, you need to learn the truth about yourself. Thank you, brother Jonathan Soul, $5. Y'all keep on giving, man. I love y'all, man. What y'all give me is not just money. It's like y'all give me hope. Yeah, y'all give me hope, because I want y'all, every time you think about me and the stuff I'm doing, I want to encourage y'all to step out on faith and do y'all research, man. I really believe that somebody out there that I'm talking to, they know what I'm talking about. I want y'all to be encouraged. Somebody says, sister, I think I don't own a car, no phone. You know what? That's not a bad way to live, though. Because now, you know what's crazy? Because we got cell phones, smartphone, and people we don't even communicate that well no more to each other. We don't even know how to communicate. We got all this technology that has made the world smaller, but we don't even know how to communicate. Think about the art of the small talk. Small talk is dead. People don't know how to hold conversations anymore. It's crazy. Yeah, research is the key to life. I love it too. We allow these people to exist through fear and Stockholm syndrome. There you go. And I get back to like I tell y'all, man, it's like Black history, right? And people talk about sexuality and all this stuff. I was thinking about this today. Y'all should read Huey Newton's Revolutionary Suicide. Huey Newton's Revolutionary Suicide, the founder of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. There was a Black Panther Party before the Huey Newton and Bobby Seale Black Panther Party. It was started in Lowndes County, and it was led by people like Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, Mukasa Ricks. They started that down in Lowndes County, Alabama. You had the Roosters, the white folks, and the Panthers. So we got to know our history. And Kwame ended up working with the Black Panthers for self-defense as a prime minister. But he ended up leaving the Black Panthers. He had to leave the country because they were about to assassinate Kwame Ture. They were about to assassinate him in America. They got King. He was real close to Dr. King. And so, get back to Huey Newton and Revolutionary Suicide, Eldridge Cleaver is a fascinating character. Now, I had the chance to read Soul on Ice. Soul on Ice was a very interesting book. Soul on Ice. Eldridge was an interesting character to begin with. But in Soul on Ice, he critiqued James Baldwin. He critiqued James Baldwin in kind of like the similar way that James Baldwin critiqued Richard Wright. And Picasso said something, to paraphrase Picasso, in order to be great, you must kill your father. In order to be great, you must kill your father. Meaning you don't have to necessarily literally kill your father, but you must find a way to become your own person, to get out from your father's shadow, the person who mentor you, who care for you, to become greater than them, some type of way, to surpass them. So James Baldwin, Richard Wright was his end to the literary world. And Richard Wright was a brilliant novelist, essayist, and all that stuff. He was brilliant, right? Black boy, native son, all that stuff. And so James Baldwin got to a point where he had to turn on Richard Wright in order to gain, I guess, greater fame and glory. And Eldridge Cleaver also went in hard on James Baldwin. in his book Soul on Ice. Well, the reason why I bring up Huey Newton and revolutionary suicide is the fact that he made mention of this in his book. Huey did, and they went to like some type of celebration for James Baldwin, him and Eldridge, and he said it. Take it for what you want to take it. Eldridge approached James Baldwin, or James Baldwin approached Eldridge, or they met each other halfway, and basically James Baldwin tongue kissed Eldridge Cleaver. James Baldwin tongue kissed Eldridge Cleaver, according to Huey Newton in his book Revolutionary Suicide. And you take it for what you want to take it. So with that said, does that discredit Eldridge Cleaver? Does that undermine his life work? I mean, because he also became a black Republican at the end, I guess. And he allegedly died in disgrace. I don't know. What I'm saying is, I would not put too much stock. I said bad things about Huey. Huey Newton was on drugs before the Panther Party. Bobby Seale talked about this in a frank manner, that Huey was strung out on drugs. But does it take away from his contribution as a revolutionary, as an activist, as a visionary? They said that Huey was killed by the Black Guerrilla family at a crack house, right, in Oakland. But do we really know that's to be the truth? Huey spent some time in prison, right? When he allegedly killed that Officer Frey, whatever that guy was, the racist officer out in Oakland, he was in prison fighting for his life. And you don't know what type of mind control stuff they did to Huey in prison. You don't know what type of mind control stuff they did to him. So I'm saying, when people talk about revolutionaries and being revolution, are you willing to make those type of life-changing, life-altering, or life-ending sacrifice? Because to be a real revolutionary is life-changing, is life-altering, and can also be life-ending. And so that's a war that they wage on black people. And Huey actually wrote about that war that waged against the Black Panthers as his dissertation. And he got his PhD on that. So he was a genius, man. He could not even read when he graduated from high school. He was functionally illiterate. And you think about 50 years later, we still got a lot of people graduating from high school that are functionally illiterate. I meet them all the time. They got to take, remedial courses, English in college. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's the age of transparency, Sleeper Hollow Tips. Yes, it is, like you said, funny how since the beginning of the year, these politicians are just snitching on each other like co-defendants. I mean, like, think about Tupac. He was accused of rape. He was in a situation with other guys. They said they ran a train on this one woman, Sister Jackson. And when he went to court, they separate their trials. He's by himself. And I love about Tupac, it's kind of weird that people shitting on Tupac 20-something years later. Like, all these cats be in their feelings talking about Tupac, like, he shot himself at Quad Studios. Yeah, but he got shot too. I mean, he shot himself. He got shot too. He died. Tupac went through a lot of stuff, but that rape thing is very interesting because you talk about Haitian Jack. Haitian Jack got a movie deal or a TV show coming out with Benny Boone. Benny Boone was director of All Eyes on Me, the movie that came out about Tupac, the biopic last year. And he's working with Haitian Jack, who was a nemesis of Tupac. Tupac talked about Haitian Jack in Machiavelli in his song on the on the album Against All Odds. Like, he knew he was working for the feds, Jimmy Henchman. He talked about Jimmy Henchman. And where is Jimmy Henchman now? He's in jail for life. That man got to be reincarnated to do his life sentences. They gave him multiple life sentences. So he got to be reincarnated to come back and do his time. But I'm saying Tupac named names, man. He was brave. He named the names, man. He knew he was marked. He named names. He didn't do all this passive aggressive shit. He named the names. He talked about Haitian Jack. Now Haitian Jack is out on the scene. I saw the interview he did with a brother. Shout out to Gully TV. They did an exclusive interview with Haitian Jack. It is weird that now you got Jackson, Miss Jackson. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. She did an interview with Blah TV that came out last week. And now you got Haitian Jack doing YouTube interviews. Man, what is this about, man? What is this about? You got to ask yourself a question. You know, Tupac dead, man. I think, like, you know, Tupac said things about people. I don't think he did saying stuff about people because, I mean, a lot of times, like the Monique thing, when you see Tupac, we see us. Tupac black like us, man. You see that black pain when you look at Tupac. You know, he's close to us, and we so hypercritical of ourselves. You know, and Tupac was really interesting. Like I said, go back. Some people think that Death Row was CIA, and this could be possibly true if you look at the fact that they got their seed money from Michael Harry O. Harris, one of the cocaine cowboys out of L.A. He said he gave Death Row the seed money to start, but it was called Godfather Entertainment or something like that. Look up the documentary Welcome to Death Row. And David Kenner was supposed to be his lawyer. They ended up switching sides or whatever. Really, David Kenner was made out better than everybody in the deal. David Kenner made out better than Michael Harriot and Suge. But he was a lawyer for Michael Harriot, but ended up switching sides to his side. But if the Iran Contra thing, go back to Free Red Ricky Ross, it was the CIA that was dumping those drugs and guns into the black community. So Michael Harriot was working with the same, you know, he was with Ricky. I don't know if they was like partner, but they probably knew of each other, but he was in that era of the cocaine cowboys. You know what I'm saying? Like he was, you know, getting government assistance to run his small business. People talk about small business. He got government subsidies, so to speak. You know? So I would tell people to look at the documentary, Welcome to the Death Row. Welcome to Death Row. And you know what's strange? Not strange, but what's fascinating with Tupac, a lot of people he worked with are dead. I mean, if Tupac was alive, he would not even be 50 right now. But a lot of his people that he worked with, they dead now. Frank Alexander and the other bodyguard is dead. They both dead. One of his best producers, Johnny J, died. They say he committed suicide. I think that's bullshit. They killed Johnny Jackson in jail. Johnny J, one of the best Tupac producers, if not the best one. He really can match Tupac's like emotions with his tracks perfectly. I mean, it was something about a Johnny J produced track for Tupac. How Do You Want It? And so many of them that really it matched the spirit of Tupac. You know, he's dead. Then you got Big Syke, who died a couple years ago. Big Syke dead. Then you got Randy Stretch Walker, Big Stretch. And Stretch was good too, man. Stretch was Tupac. He had Stretch and Johnny J, and both of them cats died crazy. I think Stretch Walker died on the year anniversary of the quad shooting. Like he was actually gunned down in his van, I believe, up in Queens. I think it was on November 30th of 1994. Oh, Jonathan Soul. Nah, there's an article that came out about, you know, you asked me, was the Japanese gun shop owner who sold guns to the Panthers owner a Fed? They said he was a Fed. They said he was an agent. There's some articles out there about, because people know that one of the founders of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was a Japanese American. They don't talk about him, but he was there. You know, that's funny how you see how this shit works. I like the Mandela effect. It's like, for example, there's a famous picture of JFK meeting with the Big Six, you know, like all the so-called leadership of the civil rights movement, like Dr. King, A. Philip Randolph, Whitney Young, you know, James Foreman, all them. Dorothy Height would be there too, but they cut her off the picture. They made sure that Dorothy Height was nowhere in the picture. They had her, she was there, but they had placed her in such a way where they edited her out the picture. She was edited out the picture. Dorothy Height. Y'all didn't find out who that sister was. She was a brilliant sister, Dorothy Height. She passed away just several years ago, almost 100 years old. But they edited her out the picture. They basically whitewash her out of history. Blah, the agent. Blah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, like, how do y'all define an agent? Like, what's y'all definition of an agent? Are they getting paid by the feds, or I mean, what's the agent to y'all? I'm curious. I tell you one thing that made me believe that Booker T. Washington was murdered was because the guy who replaced him at Tuskegee was Robert Moulton. And he was a U.S. Army intelligence spy. He was a U.S. Army intelligence spy. Once again, let me repeat. The guy who replaced Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee, Robert Moulton, was a U.S. Army intelligence spy. And I truly believe that if Booker T. Washington was allowed to live, there would never been a Tuskegee experiment. They were able to get the Tuskegee experiment in because they got rid of Booker T. Washington. That's one of the reasons, I think. Like I said, y'all should read this sister book. Her name is Paula Horton. She's a retired nurse down in Mobile, Alabama. She wrote a book called Death in 60 Days about the murder of Booker T. Washington. Well, a lot of people don't know either that Booker T. Washington was almost lynched in Central Park. They almost lynched Booker T. Washington up in New York in Central Park. I believe in 1911, he was accused of being a peeping Tom. He was in his predominantly white building, residential building, and he was caught peeping through people, like walking down the hallways, looking at people's door, I don't know, doing something. And they chased him into Central Park, and he was almost lynched. This happened back in 1911. They got an article from New York Times from 1911, I believe, that talks about Booker T. Washington being almost lynched in Central Park. Y'all should check that out. Okay, Sleeper Hollow Tips, you said agent is someone who purposely mislead to profit or hold back the masses. That's good. I like that definition. And brother Chris Jackson, you said most people would say Dr. King was an agent. That's interesting. I told y'all earlier, Dr. King, they say his family was watched by the government for three generations. Started with his maternal grandfather, who was over Ebenezer Church. I heard things, man. I don't know. Let's say he could have been. I mean, he was part of the what y'all call what he was an alpha, right? So if he was an alpha, does that make him boule? Like when you talk about Steve Coakley, is that a boule? If you're a member of these fraternities, sororities, are you automatically a part of the boule? I'm thinking about it. It's fascinating. So does that discredit Dr. King? Because another thing with Dr. King, his name was not Martin, it was Michael. They never changed it, I believe. I don't think it was legally changed. Because you can sometimes hear some of his lieutenants, when they talk about Dr. King, sometimes they call him Michael. I think his sister, the only surviving sibling, she calls him Michael. So his name is really Michael King. That's interesting too. So I mean, like, I'm giving you a lot of stuff to think about. It should be pondered. It's trying to be all over the place, but I kind of come back to what I talk about. And the Super Bowl was interesting with the Prince thing. And I know Prince was a blood sacrifice. There's no doubt about it. Prince was definitely a blood sacrifice. Because you can't, it's hard for me to believe that guy, as much as he fought with Warner Brothers or Time Warner, whoever they were, he fought with them guys for years for the rights to his music. It's kind of hard to believe he didn't leave a will, and then he had all that music in that special vault that was unreleased. You trying to tell me this guy did not think enough of his art, of his intellectual property to leave a will? Come on, man. These are the games these people play. These people are devils, man. These people are devils, man. Like, I ain't gonna never forget Whitney Houston lying naked on that floor up at the Beverly Hills Hotel while they party downstairs. Clive Davis pre-Grammy party. And Clive Davis was her mentor. But even Shaka Khan had a conscience. She said, I couldn't go to the party, man. Like, she feel like it should have been canceled, from my understanding. She didn't participate in because she was not in the partying mood. But they had her upstairs naked on the floor, from my understanding, and they still having a good old time. Bacchanal. Baphomet, whatever the devil is called. Yeah, I heard. I mean, some people call him Michael. I heard about the Michael thing. I don't think he got the name changed legally either. See, it's like, I don't know what to say, man, because like it's a lot of deception going on, but at least the truth is coming out now. And he did give up his life for what he believed in, whatever that was. He gave his life up for us, so I give him props for that. Yeah, I heard about the story about his father changed his name to Martin Luther. But was it officially changed though? Because you can hear interviews with some of his people call him Michael still. And bro, Chris Jackson, you said he was an agent, or because like the segregation could have been really more beneficial to the whites. Because think about how much money our black communities were doing before then. Oh yeah, but you can do a case study on the Negro Leagues, man. For that, the white folks took over. They destroyed the Negro Leagues because it was a black economic engine. The Negro Leagues were making more money than the so-called major leagues, the white-owned league. They were making way more money, had greater attendance than the major leagues. So Jackie Robinson was used as a Trojan horse to break up the Negro Leagues, to take black money out of black people's hands. They did a lot of damage to the black community. So he never legally changed his name. Okay. I was saying, man, just all this stuff. I mean, it doesn't take away from the stuff he tried to do. I think Dr. King was turning that corner and they shot him in his face before he could really turn, because he had people in his ear like Stokely Carmichael. I'm gonna say Kwame Ture. That's Kwame Ture. And he had he was like Chairman Fred Hampton. He was impressed with people like them. And the H-Rap Browns, he respected those guys. And the media was trying to, they were character assassinating Dr. King. Like I say, y'all making it difficult for a non-violent solution. Y'all won't even give me a platform anymore to talk about a non-violent solution. So he was saying it's gonna happen anyway. The revolution is going to happen because they're making it too hard to deal with a non-violent solution, because Dr. King was one of the most disliked people before he died in America. And that's because the media hit job. Organizations like the Washington Post, like I said, the Washington Post is an intelligence front. It's always been an intelligence front. The CIA and intelligence community controls the Washington Post. So they were doing hit pieces on Dr. King. And they shot him because they knew that if he had came to DC with 500,000 disenfranchised people, then it would have been a revolution on their hands. It would not have been no march and no protesting or no demonstration. It would have been a revolution, because he said they will come to DC to stop business as usual. They're going to shut down the government and demand that the government redistribute the wealth. And Dr. King could not get that far because he was as one man. He could not control those people that was coming from around the country, demanded things, but he inspired those people to do so. And you see how much he changed once they cut off Dr. King, once they cut off the head of the movement. You see how, I ain't gonna say we became more compliant and docile, but the fact of the matter that 50 years later, people still asking, where do we go from here? To let you know that how messed up we are as a people. Yeah, I agree. We are spiritual people. Yeah, the FBI sent MLK a suicide letter in 64, but it didn't stop him. So he was basically saying, look, you can do what you want to do. I'm still going to go for what I believe, to let me know that he had to be sincere about something, because they could have easily destroyed him, but they didn't. And you got to wonder about these claims they're making now about Dr. King with these orgies and him being a plagiarist. The thing about it is he was not killed because he was having orgies with prostitutes. He was not killed because he plagiarized his dissertation. He was killed because he was about to become a black man who was going to become very influential in public policy. He was killed because he wanted the United States out of Vietnam War. He was killed because he was talking about the redistribution of wealth. He was killed because he wanted reparations for African Americans. He wanted reparations for black people, and that's why they killed him. And he was effective in getting people to see his way, because you don't kill people that are ineffective communicators. Malcolm was an effective communicator. Marcus Garvey was an effective communicator. Ida B. Wells, she understood the power of the press. You don't kill people that's not a threat to the status quo. You let them discredit themselves. But no matter what they try to do to Dr. King, they could not truly discredit Dr. King. Because I believe Dr. King was very sincere. He might have been misled on the integration thing. He might have been misled on like trying to pass legislation to make your white brothers love their black brothers. He might be misled on that, but I believe he was sincere about everybody having a living wage. And that's why he was killed. Because you look at the matter now, people are so ignorant right now and so naive about stuff right now. But yet we have greater access to information than any point in the last 300 years. You have whatever you want to know about, you just type it in and it'll pop up. But here's the problem. Because if you still talking about 15, the fight for 15, you probably getting paid $30 an hour for minimum wage. It should be $30 an hour. It should not be no 15. It should not be no $11.25. It should be $30 an hour for minimum wage. That's for the adjustment of cost of living with the inflation of the economy. You should get paid $30 an hour. Yeah, people talking about fight for 15. That's a joke. You letting this media that works for the elites tell you what to think and how to protest. People talking about we need a permit to protest. That's how fucked up we are. We're getting permits to protest. That's not a protest. That's a parade. You getting a permit. You try a parade. You know, that's not a protest. Well, the King family has been proven. Bob Dick said it, but you got articles that talk about how the government had them under surveillance for three generations, going back to grandpa, his maternal grandfather. His maternal grandfather started with him. The government been monitoring the King family for 3 generations, like they've been watching Fred Hampton since he was 14 or 15 years old, and they killed him at 21. Yeah, like they use Dr. King to sell trucks now during the Super Bowl. They got Dr. King furniture sales. See, that's capitalism that's doing that. And then people say, well, Dr. King was not American because he was no good capitalist. Hell, being a capitalist, capitalism flies in the face of true freedom. It flies in the face of true freedom and liberation. Majority of the world is poor because of capitalism. In this system, they teach you that there is a limited amount to go around. But if you believe in a universal God, there is abundance. This system teaches limitations and limited amounts of this and that and fear. But to be tapped into the universal God is to know love and abundance. It's to know abundance in all areas of human activity. This system destroys and eats dreams and ideas. It destroys people. It destroys people of color. We believe in this system because we keep on joining it. It's military. It's right to exist. We keep on allowing ourselves to get caught up in the traps of the criminal just us system. We keep on allowing ourselves to get lulled to sleep by empty promises. We let our emotions play mind tricks with us. We let our emotions play mind tricks with us. We all in our emotions. We all mad about Trump. We don't really know why we mad about Trump. We just know we mad at this Cheeto, this flaming hot Cheeto that we don't understand why we mad about, but we just mad because people told us we get mad. We really don't have no power like we should. I mean, I see why black folks like sports. I get it. Because in sports, you could show your dumbness, your dumbness, your aggressive nature. You could be aggressive and not get shot 40 times by the police because you're playing for them. You're going to score a touchdown. You're going to dunk a basketball. You could be a man. You could just elbow people. You could do all of this shit that in society, if you try to do that as a big, strong black man, they'll kill you. So I understand. I get it. Black folks are frustrated right now. But the solution is not to allow people to use you, to exploit you for their own gain. That is not the solution. I'm not worrying about y'all talking about DACA and immigrants. We can't get our own shit together. Everybody using the blueprint that we helped mastermind in the 60s and 50s for their own political gain. We forgot that we knew that we knew. We think the best thing we could do in this period is to march and protest. That's not the best thing we do. This is a marching and protest is propaganda. Real power comes from group organization. When you organize your group, when y'all have a legitimate agenda and a vision for your group, you can get some shit done. Like people that became honorary white people is because they start organizing among themselves and they got control of institutions. Like the Irish and the Italians, they got control of the police departments and the fire departments on the East Coast. They're able to organize their power behind those things. Everybody comes here, they come with the mindset of being a business owner or owning something, not working for somebody. I don't think Donald Trump ever told his children, I want y'all to move out the house at 18 and go work for somebody, find a job. No, you work for the family. The job is the family. That's the brand. You work for our brand. You make our name great. That's the job. But here we are. We wearing everybody else's brand names, but we shit on our names. We don't make our name great. We are ashamed of our roots. Come on now. Make your name great. Donald Trump's grandfather was a pimp. He redeemed the family name. Daddy was a slumlord. Grandfather was a pimp. Daddy was a slumlord and a Klansman. The grandson, the son is the president. He cleaning up his family name. But we shit on us, man. You know what I'm trying to say is, if you look at, I remember I saw an interview with Tavis Smiley with the founder of Kinko's. The guy who founded Kinko's is Lebanese American. He was a poor student in school, but his family, no matter how bad his grades were, his family always asked him, what business you want to start? What industry you want to get into? They never told him, you go find a job. You go work for somebody. They told him, what type of business you want to start? And they didn't leave him out there by himself. They didn't say, you 18 years old, you 22, we're going to leave your ass out there by your own. They had a support network where they allowed, they invested in his business. They invested in him. I think he started the first Kinko's at USC, University of Southern California, if I'm not mistaken, where he went to school at. But I'm saying black folks are the only group of people that we're the only group of people, but yeah, we're the only group of people because we have not been taught better. Because we forgot that we knew that we knew. That we send our kids out to the wolves. We leave our people out there by themselves. And that's fucked up because in slavery, we knew the power of community, of village building, of investing, of taking care of our own. We do that because we were forced to know that in Jim Crow and in slavery, that we must take care of our own. We all we got. Y'all talking about this is us. Yeah, this is us, but we all we got. How about we all we got? Look at that movie. We all we got. We all we got. Talking about some this is us. Come on now. And about your name, you be whoever you want to be. That's the point. Cassius Clay said, I'm Muhammad Ali. Y'all keep on talking about names I made up. I'm going to tell you about a name. My great-grandfather, Thomas French, that was not his name. French was not his name. It was like Parrot or some shit. He was from South Carolina. He killed a white man who was a next-door neighbor for disrespecting his mama. He killed this white man, blew him away, because the white man kept a bull by the property line, and his mama had a clothesline where she hang the clothes. So every time she came out to hang the clothes or take the clothes down, the bull would charge at her, and it scared her. And so her son, my great-grandfather, went to the white man who owned the bull and politely told him to move the bull. And the white man basically cursed him out and did all types of disrespect, and he killed the white man. He shot the white man. Had to leave South Carolina, moved to the Midwest, settled in Kansas City, Kansas, became one of the first black people to own real estate, substantial real estate in Kansas City, Kansas. He had his own businesses. He was a master barber. He also owned a pool hall that was very successful. His sons, they ended up owning restaurants and nightclubs and hotels. I guess they were pimps. Some of them were pimps, okay? And they followed in the footsteps of their father. They own businesses and land. They own liquor stores, everything. Charlie Parker grew up with my family. And he was good friends with my uncles, my great uncles, my grandma's brothers. He used to play at their clubs and stuff and eat at the restaurants. So yeah, he changed his name from Perret to French so he would not be found out by the authorities. And a lot of us got those stories in our community, in our family, about black men killing people or changing their name to escape their past in order to have a better future. You know, my great grandfather French ain't the only one, but he did what he had to do. Because if he didn't do that, I wouldn't be here right now. You know, that's a story I share with my family, and I you know, it's good to know you had ancestors like that, because you got this thing where they want to tell you that black men hate black women and vice versa, but you hear a lot of black men putting their lives on the line to protect black womanhood. I told y'all earlier about Montgomery bus boycotts. We had black men defend these sisters against rapists that work as police officers and bus drivers and taxi cab drivers in Alabama and Montgomery. Lest we forget that Reese Taylor was gang raped not that far from Montgomery, September 3rd, 1944. She was gang raped by 6 white boys coming home from church. Lest we forget. Yeah, Pimple died. That's his barber. But I come from I'm proud that my family chose to survive by any means necessary. But it is important that we have community. And that's why I always love talk about Marion Barry, who's a South Memphis cat. He's from Mississippi, Indianola, I believe. No, Itta-Bena. He's from Itta-Bena, Mississippi. But he's a South Memphis guy. He went to Booker T. Washington High School, went to Lamar Owen, and he used politics to help empower his community. That's why if Marion Barry was still alive, he'll be elected to office somewhere in DC, because the people love Marion Barry. Because what he did was he created a beloved community. We had folks coming home from prison. They actually got a real second chance in being productive citizens, you know, being entrepreneurs. He made sure that the government of DC hired black minority black contractors or subcontractors. So he created black wealth in DC. He helped create a black wealth class in DC that supported him. He made sure that every child that wanted a job in the summertime had the ability to get a job through the city. So by him doing so, it helped a generation or two of black folks to be able to be the first ones to go to college in their family. So I mean, so many people that benefited from what Marion Barry done, and what people see. This is what I'm saying. You gotta be critical, discern. Stop letting your enemies dictate who your enemies are and who your friends should be. Marion Barry was not a crooked politician. Let me repeat. Marion Barry was not a crooked politician. He died broke. He did everything he could for the people. He had his demons. He had his vices. Don't confuse a personal shortcoming with being unethical. He was not unethical when it came to politics. He was an honest broker. Well, yeah, we get into this thing where he was crackhead, Marion Barry. See, white folks like that shit. They like us belittling each other. They like us to think that we ain't shit. Here they are. They got these fake ass heroes and sheroes. They got people that are pedophiles and fucking, you know, cokeheads and shit. They make them heroes and gods. And we find out one thing about a black person, we shit on them. We got to stop that shit. That shit ain't cool. You know, we shit on our people for being human, but white folks will hide their people's so-called humanity or lack of it and make them to gods. How could you explain Christopher Columbus Day? Think about that. How else can you explain Christopher Columbus Day? I mean, religion is something else, man. Because that's one thing they taught us. They ain't want to teach us how to read and write, but they made sure we knew that they was the masters. Religion is something else. I don't really like, you know, religion is an interesting piece. I do believe there's a difference between being religious and being spiritual. A religion to me deals with more of the politics of being human. You know, organized. The Vatican to me is a political organization. I don't see it purely as a religious organization. Now, its followers are religious; they believe, but at the administrative level, level, they are political. They're a political animal. Because at one time, the Vatican had a standing army. They're like a president or a prime minister. The Pope was, and the Pope was protected. I mean, Vatican is sovereign; it's not a part of Rome or Italy is its own entity, Vatican City. Even Hitler would not touch the Vatican. Matter of fact, the Nazis worked with the Vatican. Like I said, go back to Operation Paperclip. Look that up. That Bible was made just for black folks to conform to slavery. I mean, you got to think about one of the first slave ships to come over here was named Jesus, right? And people been on that Jesus ship ever since. I'm just saying. It's something to think about. It's something to think about that hurricanes originate from the west coast of Africa, and trace the patterns of the slave trade. It traced the route of the Atlantic slave trade accordingly. Is that there's a God, man. There's a God force out there. There's a true God force out there. But I guess with this, I'm gonna close. Thank you all for being patient. Like I said, I was due to do something with you all. I want to thank y'all for the support. Y'all continue to support this by sharing this with your people, with your network, if you deem worthy of such sharing. And our sister Latonya, thank you. I will keep on telling it. I'll tell it from the mountaintops. I'll tell it everywhere until my people are free. I want my people to be free. And y'all got to understand that real freedom has no security net. To be really free and liberated means you are really free and liberated. You have no obligations. You have no obligations. You got to create obligations. You got to create what you want. And that's freedom. You create what you want. Everything is a microwave society. It's a microwave society. And everything, just because you get it fast doesn't mean it's good for you, right? Just because you could get it now does not mean it's going to be good for you later. Now and later. Chris Jackson, research is important, definitely. Bible is a very detailed history book. His story. I like that brother Sleep at Howard Tips. Yeah, well, I don't thank everybody for tuning in. Sorry for the tech difficulties. That's my fault on my end. I hope that the audio has not been too bad. Cause I know sometimes they be doing that auto tune. Thank you for receiving it, Sister Betty. I appreciate you all. We love you madly. Tune in. I try to do more frequent shows, since it's Black History Month, so we can talk more about some stuff. But please feel free to share this stuff, share this channel with the people. Please donate to the cause, support the movement, information dissemination. I got a lot of things I want to share with you all. And matter of fact, I'm on the road now, so I'll be doing a lot of Black history from the road and interviewing people this month. And you can support us by looking at the subscription box. Make a one-time donation, PayPal. You can make a recurring donation at patreon.com/WeAllBe. You can buy We All Be gear. I got t-shirts and everything for sale. R2C2H2.com and the Teespring links where you can buy shirts and stuff. Big love. That's right. Sleeper Hall Tips. That's the point I'm trying to make. How can you hit the nail on the head? How can we do as a whole when we aren't whole individuals? That's why I'm telling people, take the time to develop a relationship with yourself. Stop trying to follow people outside of you, because the universal God put everything in you to manifest. You just gotta have a vision for yourself. You just gotta believe in yourself to do the work. Much love to everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in, and not tuning out. But this is Brother Ron signing off. In the words of Great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing. Love y'all. Thank you. Take care. Good night.